And welcome back, or just welcome if you're new here. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite horror movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And as you saw from the description, I am going to do The Thing, and The Thing. Lord. Okay, I am doing The Thing Prelude. That's right. It's not Scream, it's Scream 5. And this isn't The Thing, it's The Thing Prelude. I tried to think of other words. I would just love to slap people who do that. Scream. There's already a Scream. It's Scream 5. I thought The Thing Beginnings. No, it's not really the beginnings. It's the beginning of this story, but it's not the beginning of its story. The Thing Origins. No, it's not really an origin. It's an origin of this story and its time on Earth, but it's not. So Prelude. We were a lot prequel. No, that's what it is, not what it's called. So I've named it The Thing Prelude. Because that's exactly what it is. It's the day before. Or actually, it's the same day. But yeah, so The Thing Prelude was released in 2011, and it was directed by, and this is going to be funny, Matthijs van Heijningen Jr. That's not my fault, and I'm not going to apologize. It's your parents, number one. It's history. It's your heritage, but it's not my fault. Whatever language that is, I don't speak it. I'm not telling you you had to change your name from, to Marilyn Monroe, or, like so many did. This isn't the age of Joan Crawford, but at the same time, with a name like that, don't be upset if people can't pronounce it. It was written by Erich Heisserer. Heisserer? Erich Heisserer? And it stars, thank God, Joel Edgerton. Edgerton. Joel Edgerton, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Ulrich Thomsen. Okay, there we can handle the stars. You writers, and I don't know what the hell that is. But it was written in 2011, or it was released in 2011. And I am a very big fanboy of this film, and I will explain that at the end. But it's just safe to say that one of the reasons I'm such a big fanboy of The Thing Prelude is because of what it does to the original for me, what it does for me about the original. And we'll talk about that. So yeah, this movie, it opens in winter 1982, of course, with a snowcrawler doing sonic radar in the ice in Antarctica. And it keeps getting it's picking up a strange signal. When they get as close as they can find that signal, the ice breaks, they fall down a ravine, and they see this big ship that looks exactly like the ship from the original as it approaches Earth in the opening credits. So, we meet Kate Floyd and Adam, who comes in. She is a paleontologist, and he brings in this doctor, Sander, who asks her to come to their Norwegian Antarctic site because they have found something, but he can't tell her what. So she goes down there to see it. They take her out on the way, of course, and when she gets there, we meet some of the other main casts, Jameson, Edward, Griggs, Olaf, Carter. They take and Lars. Remember Lars? So they take her out to this thing they have found. Now, in the original, we see it from the top, but they have dug in from the side. And she is amazed, like Adam is amazed, everyone's amazed. They then take her to what is obviously something from that ship, the pilot, a creature, something from it, in the ice. So they excavate it and they bring it back to camp and they examine it. They take a tissue sample from it, which Kate warns them against. It's like 100,000 years old. Doesn't even might not even be from this planet. Are you sure we should be like taking tissue samples and letting it loose in the atmosphere? I don't really know. So she warns against it. We also notice that the ice is melting in this room from around it. But they take the sample. Later on, Jameson, like they're having a big party, like you wouldn't, talk about news of the world. You've discovered a spaceship and an alien from it. So they're having like a little party about it, and Jameson goes off down there into the room, and he's kind of like contemplatively like looking at it, thinks he hears something, and then all of a sudden that ice explodes and the thing goes through the roof. So he runs in there and tells them. They send out search teams. Lars finds one of his dogs dead. The pair, two guys find it. Two of the team find it, and we get to see it underneath there. That is a really good scene when it comes through his chest and pulls him back, and everybody comes and they are like freaking out. One of the guys is taken to the hospital, the injured guy. They burn it, the remains, and then after they've burned it, they bring it inside, which we know to be a dastardly mistake. After they're examining it, Kate is like looking at its cellular structure, much like the Doctor does in the original, and discovers that it's imitating its victims. We have a couple of them that are going to leave and take this guy to a medical facility. But then Kate finds a bunch of loose teeth fillings on the floor. And a bloody shower. There's blood all in the shower. And then there's also these metal fillings in the teeth. So she now kind of knows that her theory is correct and that someone is not who they say they are. So they try to stop the chopper, and she stops the chopper. They start the helicopter. It goes up and tries to get away, but she flags him down, and he does. Carter ends up stopping. But before he can get it down, the guy that I didn't think was it transforms and causes it to fly off, and it crashes, and they're like all freaked out. So the camp starts trying to call for help, but of course there's no signal, also like the original. Kate informs them that no one can leave, also like the original Doctor will do. Because we always have to remember, this is taking place before the original. So, she kind of knows, and anyone would. It's like, okay, if this thing gets loose, we're all fucked. So, someone is a copy. Juliet starts telling, which is the other girl there, she starts telling Kate that it was Colin. That she saw him acting funny and that she wants to show her something. Takes her off into this room, and bim bam boom, she transforms as well and tries to get Kate, but that's not going to work. They end up, that's a really cool scene. the hallway scene. They end up killing it, burning Julie. They then gather up all of the bodies and they burn them outside. It could be anyone now, so all the paranoia is, going on. They also disable all the autos like a virus. It must be, quarantined. Jameson and Carter, though, they were on that helicopter and they show up. Now, this immediately makes them suspicious because how could anyone survive that crash? So it must be them. Kate comes up with the idea that they can have a test. Just like in the original, they're going to have a test. But also, just like in the original, someone sabotages that test. The only thing that Kate can come up with now is that it must be, we can check your teeth because it cannot replicate metal. It cannot replicate inanimate things. It can only replicate tissue. So there's no way that it can replicate metal. That's her little thing to try to narrow down. Now, 4 of them don't have fillings in their mouth. Not everyone does. I don't have any fillings. So I would be put over there in the you don't have any metal fillings. I don't. My parents were like really weird about teeth. But I don't have any fillings. So I would be put over there with them. Yeah. So Jameson and Carter, being accused, they've taken off and escaped from the room that they were being held in because they were also paranoid. What is it? Lars has disappeared. And Jameson shoots Peter. Now they're all in the rec room when Edward transforms. I'm getting through all this so that we can talk. So this is when we get to see the really cool Two-Face scene where poor Adam and gets stabbed and Ed merges with him and it tries to get away, but they end up burning it too. Jameson dies. He's also stabbed by the what we would now call the Edward thing. The Juliet thing's been burned. Now the Edward thing is creating havoc. So Jameson dies during that, and Kate and Carter get separated. The thing almost gets Carter, but it's the Edward thing, the Edward Atom. We could call it the Edward Atom merge, right? But it almost gets Carter, but Kate burns it up. It wasn't Sandler. They think that they seen the doctor. But they thought that they saw him get killed by the thing, but it wasn't him. They end up going after him, though, and they follow him to the ship. It's trying to start the ship back up. Kate falls in the ship. The thing is that gets after her. Almost gets her, but she throws a grenade into its mouth. Carter finds her, and they escape back to the 2 automobiles they had up there, the snow crawlers. Then that's when she notices something, and that she stops and she asks him, where did his earring go? She tells him, you know what? The reason that I knew you were human when you came back is because of what I had found out about metal. Because of what she had found out about it not being able to replicate metal. She was like, the reason that I wasn't on the side of thinking that you and Jameson were infected or imitations was because you had an earring. And he reaches up, and then she's like, it was the other ear. So that's how she knows that it had gotten him. And she burns him up in the automobile. So she ends up like being sent there. We really don't know what happened to her. Then we see a helicopter arriving at the base. And the guy gets out and he wonders, what the fuck is all of this? And then that's when we see that Lars had been managing to skirt and hide and had not been gotten. And so he comes out yelling at the helicopter pilot to get him in the air. Let's go, let's go. Because a dog is running across, and he knows that dog is the thing. So they start going and shooting at the dog, and then that's where the credits roll. So why am I such a big fanboy of this movie? Which is an 8 out of 10 to me. Why am I such a big fanboy of this movie? Because I am such a big fanboy of The Thing. The original Thing is one of my top 10 movies of all time, of any genre. It is one of the top 10 movies of all time. When this first came out, or when I first saw it, whenever that was, will be a long time after it came out. But when I first saw it, I was in love with it. And the reason I was in love with it was because they so seamlessly made this movie the first half of the original. They turned, everybody, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a fan of epics. I love a good 2.5 to 3 hour horror movie. Longer the better to me, as long as it's good. And for them to double the running time of one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, I can't express how happy I was about that. Because they kept everything so legit. Okay? They didn't add a bunch of tech in the camp. It was supposed to be 1982 like the original. They kept it like 1982 in the original. And if you knew the original, The Thing, if you knew that and had watched it enough, as you were going through this movie, you were recognizing everything. I've seen that room. I've seen that block of ice. I've seen that two-headed creature. And the way they kept it so close to the original that it looks as though it belongs there. Now, I think, a lot of people are like, well, it didn't have, they used too much CGI. Okay. Well, that's a technical issue, though, whether you preferred CGI. You preferred practical over technical. I think they could have did more practical. But I don't know what their budget was, but I think they can do more practical. But again, that's technical. That's not story. That's not setting. And that's what mattered the most to me, was the story and the setting, the cinematography. And people complain about that energy matrix in the starship. Okay, well, I don't know what that was. Was it a navigational matrix? Was it an energy matrix? It wasn't The Thing. It's not like they made The Thing that matrix. It was obviously have you ever watched Star Trek? It was obviously, it was obviously either a navigational matrix or an energy matrix. I don't really care. What I care about is the story and the setting and the fact that you gave me backstory. I never knew who that helicopter pilot was. Now I know it was Lars. And I know what happened to him. I know what happened to him. And I'll probably repeat all this when I do the original. to know why he didn't speak English to McCready and them, to know why he was willing to shoot right through them to get to that dog, to know how fucked up it was when Gary shot him. It adds so much to this movie that I love to know that. To now I know why that room looked the way that it did. Now I know exactly how the thing came out that block of ice and went through the roof. Why in the original there was a hole in the roof. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and they never distracted me. They never made me go, well, that computer doesn't look like it belongs in 1982. They didn't do any of that. They kept everything perfectly. And then the way that they ended it, I mean, they ended it with Lars shooting at the dog in the helicopter, and then the original begins with the helicopter coming in, shooting at the dog. It's perfect. You put this on, and then you put on the next one. I mean, like right at in the last scene, just cut it off and throw this one on, and it picks right back up. I absolutely was amazed at how seamlessly they made that. And then when you watch the original, you see all of these things when they go to the Norwegian camp. It looks like the movie you just saw. The room looks exactly correct. The guy that cut his wrist, you know who that is now. You saw him. You saw him go in there. You know who cut his wrist. And why. So that's what I loved about this movie. Now, the disappearance of Kate, I don't know, did she freeze to death? Who knows? Is she still sitting out there at the ship site? Obviously not, because Kurt Russell and them go to it. But, so, do I know what happened to her? No. I would like to. But it was the same 24-hour period. That's what I'm saying. It was the same thing. So, what happened to her, I don't know. Maybe she's on her way in the crawler to help. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. It's what this movie does to the original that makes me love this movie so much. And I like this movie in and of itself. The CGI was fine. I think I would have preferred practical, but at the same time, that merging was fucked up. The Juliet thing was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I really love this movie. I love what it did to the original, and no one can ever take that away from me. I know that people have issues with it. I don't really have a lot of issues with it, because I'm not looking for any issues with it. I'm looking for how to enjoy a film. That's why I hate critics. I'm not watching a movie trying to find something to fucking bitch about. That's not why I watch a movie. You have to irritate me. You have to make me, call something out. It's like, okay, this is getting so stupid. Oh, that was a fucked up mistake right there. What y'all do that for? You have to make me. I don't go into a movie looking for something to criticize, especially if I bought the damn thing. I mean, I don't want to admit that I threw money away. So I'm not looking for a reason to dislike a movie or to find something. Oh, how dare you make a prequel to the thing? Well, I tell you, my expectations are going to be right up here, because how dare you? No, I'm really glad that you did that, and I'm excited to see what did you do. And if I find little things that it's like, you should have had a little more practical, but I tell you, the helicopter scene was fucked up. Juliet creature was fucked up. And the Edward Adam creature was fucked up. And now I know, when I watch the original, I know what all of these things are. I know how they happened. I know what that creature that they, that when McCready and them find it at the Norwegian camp and bring it back to camp, the two-headed merging thing, I know who that is, and I think that's cool. That I know who that is. That's Edward and Adam, and I remember their deaths. I remember when that happened. And that adds foreknowledge. It adds backstory. It adds stuff to the thing that makes me appreciate the thing like even more than I did, which I didn't think was possible. And that's why I love the thing Prelude. And so that's it. That's my harping on how much I love the prequel to The Thing, also known as The Thing Prelude. I should get somebody that makes like custom slipcovers and stuff. I wonder if somebody would do that for me. Make a custom slipcover and maybe a title sheet that has Prelude. It's Scream 5. But I will see you in the next one. I'm, of course, fixing to do the original. Love you, miss you, bye. Thank you very much for your time. Always remember and never forget you are a very, very special person no matter what anybody tells you, even if you are not a thing. You are the best thing. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.